Hudur mentioned
Yes.
yesterday that there
Sorry.
is more to be said about this case.
What I wanted to say was simply this, that Hazrat Masih Maud has clearly laid down principles which will never fail in respect to discovering the authenticity and credibility of Hadith. He said that, first of all, the Holy Quran is clear and it has muhkamat, also mutashabihat. So as far as the muhkamat are concerned, they are the right judge. A hadith which stands counter to the teachings of muhkamat could not be the word of Hazrat Muhammad Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, because the muhkamat also stand guard over mutashabihat. Any meaning of mutashabihat which is counter or doubtful with regards to the clear teaching of muhkamat will has to be molded. Will have to be molded according to muhkamat. As long as under its sway is acceptable, as long as it's contrary is rejectable. So if this happens to the Quran itself, if the Holy Quran itself advises us to follow muhkamat essentially and to understand mutashabihat in accordance, and if you do not do that, then according to the Holy Quran, those who have disease in their heart, they will begin to twist mutashabihat. So all that is laid open in the Holy Quran. Ahadith must also be put to the Kusoti, but touchstone of the clear-cut teaching of the Holy Quran. Secondly, as you have already said, Hazrat Masih Maud said that the character of Hazrat Muhammad Rasulullah Sallam in itself is like a living example, like sun. The light of sun is never put to doubt. It's clear and it's recognizable. The character of Hazrat Muhammad Rasulullah Sallam as depicted in the Holy Quran is so clear that anything contradictory to that character will not be acceptable as to Hadith. It's impossible. Third, Hazrat Masih Maud said that there cannot be any contradiction in the word of Hazrat Muhammad Rasulullah Sallam. So there are many there are ahadith sahiyah, so many, but all of them do not confirm with each other. So if we prove definitely that some ahadith belonging to the category of sahih are contrary to some other ahadith, so we can't accept that Muhammad Rasulullah Sallam had a split personality and he was divided in the middle regarding this and that. It's impossible. It's something which simply cannot be entertained. So that means either our understanding of that hadith is wrong, or something else has happened. Somebody else has concocted that hadith. So first of all, Hazrat Masih Maud laid great stress on trying to compromise apparently contradictory hadiths to the verses which are very clear, bayanat. If you go deeper and understand the meaning, then the thing will become very clear, no problem will be left. Again, the same should be done with regard to hadith. If one hadith seems to be contradictory to the other, is resolved by deeper understanding of the text of the hadith, then it should not be rejected, because it's a word of wisdom. But when there is no way out, you can't do anything, then that hadith has to be rejected as something which simply either was concocted by others or misunderstood by the reporters. Now remember this thing. This is a very important aspect. Ahadith, after all, were collected after 100 years or so and then on. they were reported through the word of mouth to the children or others, reported further on, and generation after generation they were reported. We know that in the living history of our memory, many things which were reported 20 years ago become confused. And when you reach the other end of that version, people start reporting from Germany, this is what you said or somebody said. And from England, some people stand up, no, this is not what you said. This is what you said. At another place, some other reporter stands up. So this is the worth of the entire human memory. That is why the Quran was committed to writing. And memory was not entirely trusted. So we must give margin of human error. So hadith would anyway stand second to the Quran, never equal. It will never be made judge of the Quran. Quran will always remain the judge of hadith. This is the final verdict of Hazrat Masih Maud Islam. Yes.
Yes, sir.
There are other problems related to hadith which also have to be now explained. Many a time the hadith speaks of something to happen in the not literally but metaphorically. You understand this point? Now, if it is taken as literally, then people distort the message. There is no fault of hadith. Hadith is sahih, but the understanding is not sahih. So that also creates complications and contradictions. Sometimes historical contradictions. For instance, in the hadith where Hazrat Rasul Akram sallallahu alaihi wasallam goes to Jerusalem, he sees the mosque there and leads the prayer. You remember that hadith?
Yes, in Isra.
During the Isra.
Yes.
The Holy Quran mentions it. But where was the mosque there? None. You see, the whole temple of Solomon was in rubbles and ruins. And in fact, it had become a place where people threw their, refuse, and all the city used as a dumping house. But Rasulullah saw a mosque, and that was Masjid Aqsa. The Holy Quran mentions it. From Masjid Haram to Masjid Aqsa. So this is not only the hadith but also in the Quran. So if the Quran and hadith both are taken to be literally, then there will be a great confusion caused. Every historian knows, and all Muslim scholars also should know, and they perhaps know, that this was conquered, that Palestine was conquered at the time of Hazrat Umar Radiyallahu Ta'ala. And then it was Malik bin Marwan, under whose rule this rubble was cleared and a mosque was built there. So how could that be the Masjid Aqsa? So the meaning here should be understood, and then there will be no contradiction left. Aqsa means far off place. And you can only understand the word Aqsa in relation to what happened there. All the souls of all the prophets had gathered who said their prayer behind Hazrat Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. So if they were dead prophets, and they were dead prophets, how could they return bodily and physically to that mosque which was non-existent? And according to some traditions, there were 124,000 prophets of Allah. So was that mosque, even which was built later on, capable of having all these prophets together? So Aqsa means far off. It means either a mosque which will be built in future among Akhareen. So that is why it's called Aqsa. Where is a Rasul Uqatat, where the representative of Hazrat Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam would lead people from all nations and all the prophets of Allah who have left some followers behind will follow that perfect slave of Hazrat Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, representing him. Then the prophecy of the Quran will be fulfilled, then that Aqsa will be created, where practically people from all the followers of all the prophets and all religions will be gathered under one flag. They use here. So if you read the Quran and interrelate the Quranic verses and know the history and apply the words of the Quran to historical facts which are undeniable, if you know the deeper sense of Quranic text, and relate ahadith to those texts in that underlying sense, things not only begin understandable, they become so beautiful, Then everything becomes understandable, and then later on they are proved to be right. Obviously, this was a prophecy. A great prophecy, that, O Prophet of Allah, all prophets are going to follow you. This is the meaning you are leading them. Souls do not return to earth, and they do not take the form of human beings, walking about. They already had become souls and they were with Allah. Haramun ala qaryatin ahlaknaha annaha ilayhim la yarji'un. Ilaha la yarji'un. This is the verdict of the Quran. So that Masjid Aqsa could not be a material Masjid Aqsa, and there was no Masjid Aqsa as such. A similar example is that of Manaratul Masih, or Manarat al-Bayda in the Dimashq, Sharqiya Dimashq. There was no Manarat al-Bayda, Sharqiya Dimashq at the time when Muhammad was saying this. Dimashq was not yet conquered. It had not become Muslim. There were all Christians there, or others. So that Manara had to be some other symbol of something. And people still insist that there has to be some Manara, the Sharqiya Dimashq, where he will descend. And there are other traditions which speak of the Manara being ladderless, no staircase for that Manara. So there are traditions which say that Maulvis or people, when they see Jesus Christ descend on that Manara, they would run for the ladders and provide those ladders for Jesus Christ to get down from the Manara. If you take all these things literally, where would be the sense left? Imagine Jesus Christ descending from fourth heaven without hurting himself.
We need ladders now.
Yes. Fourth heaven he descended, whole and solemn, and was then put on the Manara for where he couldn't reach the earth. They do not understand because they do not contemplate the meaning. They think these are the words of some man like themselves. They are words of Allah and the words of the Holy Prophet. Because, as I said, مَا يَنْتِقُ عَنِ الْهَوَىٰ إِنْ هُوَ إِلَّا وَحْيٌ يُوحَىٰ. Now when you understand, then suddenly a most beautiful meaning appears, which is worthy of being called the word of Hazrat Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Manarat al-Bayda means, Bayda is a symbol of truth and light. And Manara is the status of that truth at high place where you can view it from different places, where the light can spread. So whenever a messenger of Allah comes, whenever somebody from God comes, he appears from on high. And if people have eyes and vision, they can recognize him and benefit from him. But people also have to do something. If they do not apply the ladders of their attitude and acceptance, he will remain as far away. He will be as good on the minaret, hanging on the minaret, as he was in the heavens. They will not be able to benefit from him. So you have to